Alright, it is time for you to learn how to make your first deck. So we're going to go through the normal motions of claiming all of these reward tokens. We're going to go ahead and making sure you're getting as much of these rewards as you can. Then we're going to open some kegs and we're going to make our first deck, which will probably be Syndicate. It is the one faction I'm going to tell you to get faction kegs for, just to get you started. We're going to go to our reward tree here. And remember, I told you guys to come in here, do Wild Boar, and get these 3 cards. Well, I've already come and done that. So what do you do next, you ask? Well, I want you to focus on these story nodes. They show up like little scrolls. They're going to give you the best ore that you can get pound for pound. Looks like I'm just a little bit shy there. I'll want to keep moving up on this tree to go grab that one, and down this tree to go grab that one. So I'll have just saved my keys and buy those later. Right now though, let's go and make a Syndicate card. Or sorry, not make, but go buy some Syndicate kegs. We're going to cover how to make them. And you can see the faction kegs are at the bottom. Syndicate is the one I recommend, just because you start with very few Syndicate cards natively, so you can't make a whole deck. So you just do want to grab some of these. We'll open a few of these, see what we get. Payroll Specialist isn't bad. Bloody Good Fun is pretty good. I think here we want Cleric of the Flaming Rose. Alright, well, Tide Cloak Hideaway is pretty good, just because we can use it for Skellige as well. We only have one of them, so we might as well take a second one. We can go for the Abomination. These 2 are 4 provisions and it's 5. Alright, we got Fabian Hale and Boris, 2 epics, so that's quite good. You can tell because they're purple in the background and purple in that top corner. I really like Sewer Raiders, and you do need 2 of them, and it'll provide me a good opportunity to show you how to use them and how to create a new card. All of these are quite nice. For Scoia'tael, I think you probably want to take just the highest provision, which is Crushing Trap. Actually a very useful card. And we got our Nilfgaard keg as well. You saw us really liking those diviners that we already have too. We're going to go for Hunting Pack, higher provisions. It's a little bit more useful, better utility. Alright, there's that. We've opened our kegs, and now it is time for us to make our first deck. Well, where do you go? Well, I know this is going to sound crazy, but you're going to go to Deck Builder. Haha, that's crazy, isn't it? Well, Deck Builder is the place you're going to go make your deck, and it's going to give you, again, the same thing. We're just going to put away this pop-up before milling, because I already know I want resource focused. I got 20 scraps. That's nice. Alright, so first thing you're going to do is come over here and click New Deck. You're going to choose Syndicate, and then you're going to choose one of these leader abilities. Well, I think your first one, when you're very first getting started, should probably be, I think Congregate is probably the easiest one for you to just kind of get a sense of and start trying out. So we're going to try that one. Blood Money also would work well, as does Jackpot, but you can only use them once. I do think it's a wise choice to pick a thing that you can use multiple times, especially as you're first getting started. So we're just going to take this and choose that. So what it does whenever we use its leader ability is spawn a Firesworn Zealot, which is a 2-point unit. Just a token. Doom doesn't do anything, but it's a 2-point unit on the row, and we get to choose the row. And then we gain 1 coin, and we get to do that 3 times. Alright, now let's see what cards we have. And before we do this, I'm actually going to go to Ownership and select all. And I'm going to tell you guys a card that everyone should make, and it should probably be your first card you ever make, and that's Oniromancy. Well, how do you make a card, do you ask? Alright, so you're going to right click on the card or hold down with if you're on mobile. Click on the card, and then you're going to press craft down here. Now you need to make sure you have 800 scraps. We've earned that many, but we're going to go ahead and take this card. Now why is Oniromancy so good? Well, it is what's known as a tutor card, and it has Echo. Echo means at the beginning of the round, move this card to the graveyard to the top of its owner's deck. Give it Doomed. So it means basically that you're going to get the card in one round, use it, and then you're going to get it again in another round, and use it again. Now what does this card do? Plays any card from your deck. So this is what's known as a consistency card or a tutor card. It's a card that tutors out another card. So basically you're playing this card to play any card you want when you need it most. So we're going to go ahead and craft this one. I think it's honestly one of the best choices that you can make when you're first getting started. And we'll just click and add that to our deck. So now we can come to ownership, click owned. These are all the cards we own, and we're just clicking on the ones that we want to take in. Alright, well I told you guys to get these Witcher Trio. They are quite good. We're going to click on and use them. Now, they summon each other to the same row, so you have to make sure there's room for 3 people. The only hiccup with them is you have to have Adrenaline 4, which is Adrenaline trigger this ability if you have specified number or fewer cards in hand. Well, they're Adrenaline 4, so if we play them, if we have 5 cards in our hand and we play them, when we play them we'll only have 4 because we'll have played it out of our hand. So it makes a lot of sense to play as kind of your last card to play in round 1, and it's going to bring out these other 2, and it plays for 9 points with 3 cards, and it's pulling 2 cards out of our deck. So it's really good, strong combination, makes a lot of sense for us when we're first starting out. Now the next thing we want to do here is start building the rest of our deck. And I think you should focus on getting your golds and getting them in your deck. And the ones that work well for us here are Roderick, Geralt. Surrender's actually pretty good. We've gotten good use out of it these last few games. Boris is helpful. He's not super clutch, but he works. Fabian Hale is pretty good, but we don't have a whole lot of damage cards, so I'm not going to worry about him right now. Instead, I'm going to scroll down and look here at some of these other cards. So Sewer Raiders requires me to have a horde of 4, which is having coins equal to that number or more. We'll walk you through how coins work for Syndicate in my next video, but just note that I really like this card, and I'm going to make a copy of this for 80 scraps, so that way I can have 2, because they're going to call each other out of the deck when I play them. So they're really good. Now, something that I mentioned that we would talk about later are these provisions. You note that Oneiromancy is a really good card, so it's 13 provisions. It's one of the most expensive in the game. Well, you are restricted on how many great cards you can include in your deck by this provision cost. Now, the number next to this leader, and you'll notice when we're choosing leaders, there are all these numbers. Basically, the value of the deck is attuned to these provision costs, and the number next to it is the number of extra provisions on top of 150 that you can include in your deck at the very beginning of using your deck. So just note that that's why we have 166 here, because it's 150 plus 16. When you're very first starting out, this is never going to be a problem. You're never going to really run into this threshold, but it will matter a lot later on. The other thing, you need to have at least 13 units, and you need to have at least 25 cards. Well, you only get to play basically 16 cards in a game when you're playing Gwent, so I really do recommend only putting 25 cards in. But let's continue on down this path, and I'll show you more of what I mean. I'm actually going to include a Thunderbolt here. I think this is going to be really helpful for a couple of cards. Roderick de Wet is a good one. You've seen other people play this, but you play it onto the board. It gets Zeal. It's an artifact. Then it boosts an allied unit by 2 times. So we want this on here for our Fallen Knights. These guys are really good. They are Intimidate engines. Whenever we play a crime card, which is kind of the special card for Syndicate, they are going to boost themselves by 1. They also have a Veil, which means they can't be poisoned or locked unless they're purified first. And whenever we spawn a unit on our side of the battlefield, boost self by 1 for each unit spawned. And you'll remember our leader ability gives us 3 units to spawn. So they're really quite good. I like them a lot. We're going to choose to use them. I think we had some other kind of bounty card in here, so I actually will take Fabian Hale. He just is a little bit of setup. He has an Intimidate engine as well, and then he has placed a bounty on enemy unit. If there was an enemy unit with a bounty, gain coins equal to its base power. Base power is whatever this number is right here. Bounty is when a unit with this status is destroyed or banished, opponent gains coins equal to its base power. There can only be one unit with bounty status on each side of the board at a given time. So basically you're saying, I'm going to kill you. When you're dead, I'm going to claim your bounty. And claiming the bounty gives you a lot of points. In terms of, it gives you a lot of coins, sorry. And coins you can use as points. Alright, so one thing with Syndicate that you have to kind of be aware of. So we have these failed experiments. These need to get poisoned. We don't have a great way of poisoning themselves. Salamander Abomination has this tribute and poison itself. It's a little complicated. I think instead what we're going to do here is just go for some of these crimes that we have. Bloody Good Fun is a great one. Congregation is a great crime for us. Shakedown is a great crime for us. These vigilantes work with Fabian Hale, so we're going to take one of them. And then this Eternal Priest works really well with our leader ability and our spawns. Whenever we gain a coin each turn, Salamander Lackey is pretty good, but we don't need it right now. Let's keep looking here for a second. Whenever you spawn one or more units in the battlefield, gain one coin. He's pretty good. Keeper of the Flame boosts adjacent units by 1. Tribute 4, which just means we spend that many coins, then we'll do a special thing. Boost all units in this row by 1 instead. Decrease this card's tribute by 1 for every allied cleric. He's pretty good. And this brings me to the next thing I'm going to tell you guys. So you'll notice here that we've started to create a deck with a lot of Firesworn units. Well, that's because they have a lot of synergy with each other. We're going to go ahead and take a line of credit as well. And we're going to go up here and we're going to type in Firesworn. Well, there's a lot of cards we don't have, but look at all these ones we do. Well, we can use these ones since they have some good synergy with the other ones. Alright, well now I have 26 cards. Well, I can come in here and say, I typically go to the bottom since I can get rid of some of these, since I still have extra provision costs. I just get rid of one that seems like it's going to work the least well with all of my cards. And honestly, Vigilantes is probably that card here. Fabian Hale is really the only way to get a bounty, and he's really just playing mostly as an intimidate engine for us right now. So that's good, that's great, that's wonderful, we're done. That has made our first deck. Now I can right click on it or hold down if you're on mobile, and I can rename this deck and say Syndicate First Try. And there we go. We've created our own deck. And now we can go out and play with that deck. Hang around for the next video on this playlist if you want to see me try Syndicate and learn a little bit more about how they work. Otherwise, until next time, good luck on the path. Get out there and keep on Gwenting. Bye for now.